All right, guys, welcome back to another video. So we got a major report yesterday talking about the potential of a mid-generation refresh when it comes to the PlayStation 5. Now, mid-generation refreshes have been something that we saw in the last generation. And I think right now there's a huge consensus that as of the Xbox Series X and the current PlayStation 5, we really haven't seen either of these consoles reach their full potential, especially with the fact that there was such a huge shortage of inventory for the first couple of years. Thinking about a new Pro version of these consoles coming out in a year from now isn't really something I don't know if the market is wanting at this point. However, we also have seen in the last year or so some games that aren't hitting 60 frames per second. So the promise of this being the 60 FPS generation where all games were going to hit that may not be able to last throughout the entire generation if it goes to 2028 or so with the current hardware on the market. Now, PlayStation 5 has been in the rumors the most about a Pro console. We really haven't heard any rumors about the Xbox coming out with a mid-generation refresh. We've seen multiple rumors when it comes to PlayStation, from the separate disc drive that is going to be sold and that they would be phasing out the disc version of the PS5, that there was going to be a PS5 Slim, and then the PS5 Pro. And it seems like the PS5 Pro is that rumor right now that is getting the most traction. We have a report here from Tom Henderson, who has been pretty spot on with leaking a lot of this stuff. And he's leaking more information here and more info about when the PS5 Pro is going to come out. So it says here, but despite Xbox's stance on another console, where does that leave PlayStation? Well, according to my own sources, who asked to remain anonymous because they were unauthorized to speak on such details, a PlayStation 5 Pro is in development and it is code-named Trinity. And that name is very familiar, as PlayStation has used the Matrix codenames for previous consoles. Specifically here, the PS4 Pro was under the codename Neo, and the PlayStation VR was under the codename Morpheus. Now, when it comes to this console, the PS5 Pro, they say here that it's been in development since early 2022, and that the Trinity has been the only project in the works for the Pro model. So it's just that one PS5 Pro. I don't know if they were to come out with two. Maybe they're talking maybe here about a slim version or something like that. But just the Trinity is the only Pro model right now in the works. And that the development kits are going to be to most developers by late November 2023. In fact, it's understood that demo events for the PS5 Pro are already ongoing. But obviously, there's probably select developers or select people that get to see this console. And then by November 2023, everybody is going to have the dev kits for the PS5 Pros in their hand. Now, they don't really have any information about the specs other than this here. It says that the Trinity will have 30 WGP, which can, I think, translate into about double the compute units of the current PlayStation 5. So maybe double the GPU power than what we currently have, and 18,000 MTS memories. So again, nothing too crazy there, but it is obviously, from those numbers, an upgrade over the current PS5. And they are saying that they will be improving a consistent FPS at 4K resolution, which is like, they've been saying this since the Pro versions essentially came out with the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, and then the Series X and the PS5. The one thing that I think is quite obvious right now is that running games in native 4K at a steady 60 frames per second is very, very compute heavy. You'll always need to continue to have the highest technology to get the best frame rates with the best resolutions, and consoles will always fall behind about a year or two after that they are released. I mean, as the games get bigger and the games get more powerful, consoles with their entry point in price and with the fact that they are half the price of getting a PC that will be able to run games at the highest settings, it's always going to be hard for consoles to keep up. But they always say consistent FPS at 4K resolution. They don't specifically say here 60, but at least consistent, because we have seen drops in resolution frames per second with the higher resolutions. Not just on, people always like say it's Xbox, but it's also on PlayStation 5. I mean, we even look at their most recent big release, which was Final Fantasy 16. And then they say here a new performance mode for 8K resolution, which is still, even if this thing is double the power of the PlayStation 5 in terms of a GPU, I don't really find that it's believable that they're going to be able to get 8K resolution performance modes out of this thing. I mean, they also advertised 8K on the current PlayStation 5 box, but maybe I guess Sony, who makes 8K TVs, are doing this so that they can keep up with their main gaming system and try to add that onto their 8K TVs. And they're also saying here that it's going to be able to have accelerated ray tracing, which ray tracing has been hit and miss so far this generation, but when it is utilized well, it looks really good. Generally, it's in the non-performance mode, 30 frames per second, but you can tell of the fidelity that it does add, I guess you could say, to the way that the games look and the way that the rays shine off of things and stuff like that. So PlayStation 5 Pro, this is seemingly a real thing that is in the works. Surprising, very surprising, I would say, because of the actual hardware issues that we have had in terms of the supply and people just now being able to pretty much whenever they want go out and get a PlayStation 5. And it really seems like we haven't even come close to hitting the top end of the current consoles on the market. What I would see potentially this being a good thing for would be if they're able to put this out and then slash the prices of the current consoles on the market, and then maybe put out a cheaper slim version of the current PlayStation 5 and maybe phase out that big old ugly console that they have right now. Now, they also are saying here that they are targeting a November 2024 release date for this console. So still about a year and a bit before this thing will be hitting the market. And speaking of price cuts, what's making this rumor seem a little bit even more believable is that they are saying here that the PS5 will soon get a temporary $50 price cuts. We know that they did raise the prices of the PS5 in certain parts of the world, but in the United States, it actually stayed the same price. And the United States is going to be benefiting again, as it seems like the United States is going to be getting a $50 price reduction from a price that was actually never raised, bringing it down to $4.49. Germany, a €75 reduction from $5.49 to $4.74. And then the UK, Great Britain, £75 reduction from $4.80 to $4.05. So it seems like there also may be some price reductions coming. It would be nice to see them reduce the prices in the countries like Canada, where the console not only was released at $30 more than the US, but now is $50 more than the US. It'd be nice to just bring that down to the original $5 or $4.99 price or $5.99 price, I would say, because it's $5.99. It would have been $5.99 in Canada when it was released, and the Series X is actually $5.99 before they raised the prices to the $50 as well. So it'd be nice to bring the prices down in those parts of the world, but it seems like where they are dominant in, or the markets that they have the biggest competition in, which is the United States, the biggest competition with Xbox, they're looking to reduce the price of the console. And if you remember the Series X, the price wasn't raised there. They did raise the prices in other parts of the world, but they didn't raise it. So maybe this is going to prompt Xbox to also reduce the price to keep up with the price of the PlayStation 5 if this does come true. And then when it comes to PlayStation 6, and then the next generation of consoles, which would be the next Xbox as well, it looks like they are currently targeting a 2028 release date. And I guess the biggest question here out of all of this, we've been hearing about the PS5 Pro rumors, but this is, I think, the most amount of information that we've seen so far, seems the most realistic, all the stuff that Tom Henderson has posted out, and actually believable that this thing is in the works. The question is, will Xbox counter? Because it doesn't seem like they're looking to counter. We've heard nothing on the rumor mill in terms of a mid-generation refresh for Xbox. I believe Xbox and Phil Spencer have talked about it and said that it isn't in the works right now. Will they counter? It almost, in my opinion, seems like they have to counter if the PS5 Pro comes out. Because one of the biggest things that Xbox has for them in terms of a marketing perspective is the most powerful console. And that goes away if a PS5 Pro comes out and there's nothing there from Xbox. So I would assume they're always thinking about this, whether they're ready to put it out or not in 2024. They're always probably thinking about upgrading this console, having something in their back pocket in case they need to pull it out. And if the PS5 Pro does get announced, I believe Xbox should create an Xbox Series X Pro to counter the PS5 Pro, whether that comes out after November 2024 or not. But if they want to continue to have that marketing advantage of the most powerful console and use that when they're sending their development kits out and stuff like that, they're going to have to make an Xbox Series X Pro. And I'm sure people would actually be interested in it if the PS5 Pro does come out, because if they're going to guarantee that the frame rates are not going to slip back down to 30 FPS throughout this generation with this mid-gen refresh console upgrade, people will go out and purchase them. But I will leave the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.
We'll be right back.